Okie dokie, folks, let's get on to the fun part now. How do you actually do some snap focus shooting with a Fujifilm? And if you're not familiar with the Ricoh GR3, this camera has something of a party trick that is called snap focus. So you've got your regular focus here, where you would half press the shutter button down. The camera gets focus in autofocus mode. You press further and it takes the shot. Same with this one. In autofocus mode, you half press the shutter button here. The camera attains focus and you take the shot by pressing all the way. Now the Ricoh can do something else, and that is you ignore you don't do the half press. Okay, you just bang that button down, and there are some settings in the camera that say when I do that, it's called a full press snap. Okay, as it ignores trying to autofocus and it just goes straight into full press snap mode. And you can even set the camera up to be the only way it shoots by taking snapshots. And when you put it in snap focus mode, you decide on a distance you want to focus at. And that can be 1.5 meters, 2 meters, 2.5, 3, 5 meters. The fixed distances up to and including 5 meters. And depending on your aperture, if you've got a large aperture number like f8, f11, then you'll get a very deep depth of field. Okay, so everything very close to you, let's say you do it at 3 meters, then everything from about 1.1 meter or about 6 or 7 feet close to you will be in focus all the way out to infinity when you have the Ricoh GR3 or the GR4 with its 28mm equivalent lens. When you have that at f8 and you've got your snap focus set to about 3 meters, then everything from about 1.1 meter and out all the way out to infinity will be in focus, in something called acceptable focus. There are some small details with this that you can kind of ignore. When you've got a good camera with a good lens, you can ignore it. But what you actually focus on at 3 meters, if something is there, it will be in what you call critical focus, and the rest will be in acceptable focus. Okay, same with this one, but this doesn't have snap focus built in. What it does have though is, like every other camera where you can change the aperture and do manual focusing on the lens, then you are able to do something called zone focusing. And zone focusing is exactly what snap focus is. Ricoh called it snap focus, but behind the curtains, it is zone focusing. Now, just to show you what else we need to do, in the next video, by the way, for this one, I'm going to go through some of the menus and show you where to find some of the things that I changed. But very quickly, if I swipe up from the bottom, you'll see I'm in aperture priority mode. That's the big A over there. And MF, that means I'm in manual focus mode. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be focusing all the time like crazy. That's not the point of zone focusing. Zone focusing should be a set it, forget it operation. Now, this isn't a fully manual lens. This is a fly-by-wire lens, so it's sending signals to the camera and the camera's sending them back to move the lens elements, but it kind of works. So I set mine at f5.6, and f5.6 on a 1-inch sensor will give you a massive depth of field when you focus to around 3 meters. Okay, so f5.6 in aperture priority mode, manual focus. Half press the button now just to get rid of that. And now we're going to look at the back screen now, and I'm going to just zoom in a little bit more like this so you can see when I start moving the focus ring, you'll see this scale comes up, and orange numbers at the top, they're feet, and the white numbers at the bottom, they are meters. Now there, where that white dot is right now, that is pointing to 3 meters. And when I move it just a little bit more, you can see 3 meters is the equivalent of about 10 feet. And that's where I want it, because when I set my focus to 3 meters or 10 feet, you're going to have a very, very deep depth of field from about 1.1 meter from the camera lens, from the sensor, and all the way out to infinity when you're at f5.6 with this small 1-inch sensor. And that is how it works. So aperture priority, f5.6, manual focus to about 3 meters, and then just bang, bang, bang. The camera does not have to wait or hunt to get focus. It just focuses straight away at 3 meters and takes the shot. And that's the fastest way of doing it, because you're not waiting for anything, you're just doing that. Over to the live point of view action, where you can see me doing this, taking the shots, and I will put the shots up in the video as well. So I am down here at one of my favorite local spots. I've got the camera set up. I'm just going to switch on here, and we are going to do some zone focusing. Okay, Fujifilm profile is Reala Ace. Lens is set to f5.6. Swipe up from the bottom, make sure I'm on A over there, aperture priority, and manual focus. So now we're just going to set the focus, and we're going to turn that focus wheel until we get just about there, which is just under 3 meters or 10 feet. Perfect. That is what we're looking for. And with that set, lock the car, and we can just go and start shooting. The depth of field will be adequate, and you can see I'm in manual focus, so focus peaking is on as focus assist. So it's showing me that the bright red highlights there are showing me that that tree is nicely in focus, and I don't need to do anything to the camera. So I'm just going to have a stroll around here, and you can see it just gets everything in focus like that. Nice bright day, so f5.6 will not be too dark. But this is the essence of zone focusing. So we're going to go and get a little picture of the boat there. Got a shot there like that. You see, I'm not focusing on anything at all. I'm not touching the focus ring. I'm just shooting, because I know that that deep depth of field is already there, like that. Now I'm shooting in Reala Ace all the time. If I'm going to convert any of the, if some of these images look to be screaming out to be in black and white, I will do it on the computer. You see, when you don't have to focus, you can just concentrate on framing. Lovely view here, isn't it? And this is it, basically. This is how you do the equivalent of snap shooting on a Ricoh GR3 or zone focusing. And this is basically it, zone focusing. And a nice deep depth of field, f5.6 on a 10.8mm lens. Just gets you tons and tons of depth of field. And whatever is exactly at where, this is a little tip. Once in a while, you should just check your focus just by turning the focus ring just a little bit, just to make sure it hasn't drifted. See there, it's right on 3 meters again now. And we should get everything, including the bench. I'm about 3 meters away from the bench there. Let me just take a shot there and maybe lift it up a little bit, just there. So the bench should be in focus, the tree will be in focus, and the horizon will be in focus. Everything will be in focus. Here in town now, and switch the camera on again. Same settings as before. Reala Ace, although with these good shadows and stuff, could be very tempted to convert these to black and white. But anyway, Reality Ace f5.6, 1/3 of a stop in down in exposure compensation. Just check that focus again, just touch the focus wheel. Just above 3 meters there, we want it between 2 and 3, right there, perfect. And take a shot out the window. Oh, flash is on, switch that off. There, and we are ready. Nice. There was a motorbike up here I want to take a picture of. Looked like a big old Harley. Tattoo. Ooh, cool barbershop. Let's get some reflections. Nice. Here's the back. I think I remember there being a Harley Davidson called an Electra Glide. I don't know. Might be that. Let's take a shot of this. So even at this distance, it says everything's sharp. We'll check that out when I get back. But this looks nice. Looks sharp. And I'm only about, what, 1.5 meters from it. Just check my focus again. And get that back down to the 3 meter mark right there. There. Can you see it? That. And get this woman getting a haircut. And then that. Yeah, I think we've got enough. And the old-fashioned barbershop sign that. But also up here where the sun's just hitting those rooftops. Like that. That's it. That's enough zone focusing for today.